Do you believe that you can attract money with your mind? I'm not talking about cheap motivation or phrases thrown to the wind. I'm talking about a woman who wrote for 5 years in a row a single sentence in a notebook. I won $112 million. And then she won. Exactly that. $112 million. No more, no less. She didn't get the numbers right. She didn't follow a formula. She created reality before it existed. And now tell me, is this luck? Or is it living proof that the mind has the power to shape the invisible? This channel is not just about stories, it's about hidden codes, codes that are behind the reality you live in. And perhaps without realizing it, you have been trying to decipher them for years. Here, each case is a key, a clue, a mirror of what you may also be experiencing. Today, what you're about to hear seems impossible. But when you understand the universal laws, the impossible becomes just misunderstood. In this video, you will learn about She Gives Mentalism, which reveals that everything begins in the mind, absolutely everything. Before becoming real on the outside, an experience must exist as an idea, an image, an emotion. You will also understand the law of vibration, which shows why what you feel is stronger than what you say. Because the universe doesn't respond to your desires, it responds to your frequency. And of course, we'll dive into correspondence law, which makes it clear what is inside manifests itself outside. Your external reality is nothing more than a mirror of your internal world. Cynthia Stafford was not rich, nor influential, nor someone close to luck. She was an ordinary woman, facing pains that you may know all too well. Financial difficulties, grief, responsibilities that weighed heavily on her shoulders. She was raising the children of her brother, who had been murdered, alone. Her reality was hard, tight, full of reasons to give up, but she chose to believe. And not only to believe, she decided to feel. Have you ever been through this? That moment when everything seems contrary, but something inside you insists on believing. That silent voice that whispers, "Continue," because it's already yours. What you're about to discover now may surprise you. Maybe because deep down, a part of you already knows this truth. Maybe because you are living exactly in the moment when you need to remember who you really are. And when you remember, everything around you will start responding. Because reality is not blind. It just obeys. And now, with this story beginning to make room inside you, let's look together at every detail of what happened to Cynthia. Not as someone listening to a curiosity, but as someone recognizing a mirror. Throughout Cynthia's story, you will see in practice how these laws act every day, even when we don't realize it. And most importantly, you will discover how to apply this to your own life in a real, emotional, and conscious way, not as a theory, but as a code, as a tool, as a secret language between you and the universe. If everything you experience today has a vibrational origin, then you can also choose a new starting point, and that is exactly what this story will show you. And now that you've started to feel the vibration of this story, maybe something inside you has stirred too. Sometimes, all we need is a reminder, a trigger, a narrative that makes us remember what was always there, but that the noise of life has drowned out. And if any part of what was said here touched you, if at some point your mind stopped and your heart responded with that silence that only the truth provokes, then share it with me. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below. With what touched you, what turned on a light or gave you an insight. I read everything carefully, because this space is more than a channel. It is a community of people who are awakening together, each in their own time, but all connected by something that goes beyond what can be seen. And if you feel like you want to continue diving into this type of content, that moves, that provokes, that brings revelations, that cannot be put into simple words, then subscribe here. Your participation is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this message. When you like, comment, interact, you are not just supporting a video. You are helping this energy circulate, and that has a real impact. Now, stay with me, because Cynthia's story is just beginning to reveal the behind the scenes of what really happened. And when you understand what she did, not with her hands but with her mind and heart, you might begin to realize how much you can also transform your reality. Cynthia Stafford didn't start this journey just wanting money. She wanted her life back. She wanted her children back. She wanted dignity, grounding, peace. And maybe that's why her manifestation was so powerful, because she wasn't just dreaming of abundance. She was fighting to keep from falling apart completely. It all started after the tragedy that changed everything, the sudden death of her brother. And along with the pain came responsibility, taking care of his 5 children. But life, which was already hard, became unbearable. With extreme financial difficulties and no support network, Cynthia found herself on the edge of the abyss. And then came the hardest blow. She lost custody of her children. Yes, those she loved. Most were taken away, and at that moment anyone would have fallen apart. But she, even though she was hurt, chose a different path. She didn't know how, but she knew she had to find a way. And that's when something inside her woke up. Every day she wrote the same sentence in her notebook: I won $112 million. It wasn't a joke, nor a vague request to the universe. It was a decree, specific, real, a kind of silent prayer spoken, with the strength of a woman who knew she needed to change her frequency to change her reality. And more than that, it was her way of creating an alternative world where she had already won, where she already had her children in her arms, where pain had already turned into purpose. For 5 years she held on to this phrase, not as an empty mantra, but as a vibrational identity. She began to feel it as truth. She visualized it. She cried. She was thankful before it happened. And little by little, she became compatible with what she so desired, even with bills piling up, even with an empty house, even with absence screaming at her walls. She vibrated as if she had already won. And then, one day, it happened. She won $112 million, exactly as you wrote. It wasn't close, it wasn't similar. It was exact, and the world called it luck. But you already know, luck doesn't explain that kind of precision. It doesn't explain that kind of miracle, with the right address. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because what she did was not just attract a prize. She recovered what had been taken away. She reconstructed a story. She changed the frequency of the impossible with the strength of an internal decision. Right there, I'm on this journey too, if this kind of turnaround makes you believe in something bigger, because what comes next is what really explains why her reality changed and how it can happen to you too. Have you ever wanted something so intensely that it was as if it already existed within you? As if it were not just a distant dream, but an anticipated memory of something that was already yours. Perhaps at some point in your life you have felt this, that silent certainty that something greater was listening to you. An invisible force, an intelligence that cannot be explained in words, but that responds to your deepest emotions. But over time, the challenges, the frustrations, and the failed attempts made this connection seem increasingly fragile, more unlikely, almost imaginary. And then, little by little, you started saying, and even without realizing it, phrases like, "That will never happen to me. Those things only happen to other people. I'm poor, that's just how my life is." And the strangest thing is that you might say this as a way of protecting yourself, because it's easier to disbelieve than to get frustrated again. But what no one teaches us is that these words are not just venting, they are affirmations. And everything you affirm with feeling, whether positive or negative, begins to structure itself within your vibrational field. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject, because this is not about positive thinking, it's about perception. It's about the awareness that reality does not react to your spoken words, but to your emotional frequency that you consistently sustain. When you say "I'm poor" with a sigh of discouragement, the universe understands that you are vibrating scarcity. And since it works by mail, it delivers exactly that. It's like shouting into a valley and hearing the echo come back. Reality echoes your energy, always. And the most revealing thing is to realize that this isn't about guilt, but about choice. It's not your fault that you've learned to repeat these phrases, but you can choose to stop reinforcing them. You can from now on watch what you're saying about yourself, especially when no one is listening, because that's when you're truly creating. Not when you say what you want to happen, but when you feel what you believe is. Many people believe they are striving to manifest a new life, but they continue to vibrate the old one. They desire abundance but shrink at the thought of receiving it. They want freedom, but carry an emotional identity of limitation. And this internal contradiction is what blocks manifestation. Because the universe does not respond to the desire of the mouth. It responds to the energy of the body, to the vibrational field that you emanate consciously or unconsciously every day. Maybe without realizing it, you've been nurturing an identity for years that doesn't correspond to what you want. And that's okay. That's part of the journey too. But from the moment you realize it, for real, you can no longer ignore it. You start listening to yourself. You start noticing how each sentence, each thought, each emotion is shaping your field. And then something changes. Because when you change on the inside, reality starts to adjust. Even if it still takes a while for it to show on the outside. Write in the comments, "I'm on this journey too," if you feel like you are living this moment of awakening. And now I want to show you how all of this connects to the laws that underpin reality. Because once you understand what's operating behind the scenes, you begin to see your life in a different light. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject. Because this is where everything really starts to fit together. When we look at Cynthia's story with the right eyes, we realize that it wasn't luck, nor coincidence, nor a random winning ticket. It was about connection, about vibrational mastery, about a type of emotional and spiritual intelligence that you don't learn from books, but awakens when you start to see the backstage of reality with more awareness. She gives mentalism says that everything is mind, that the universe is above all a mental construction. This means that matter is a consequence, not a cause. That what you experience today was, at some point, thought, felt, and believed with enough strength to materialize. Cynthia understood this, perhaps not with technical words, but with presence. She surrendered herself every day to this new thought. She did not think on what she wanted. I lived mentally, that as if it were already true. And that is exactly how you activate this first key. But thinking alone is not enough. And that's where law of vibration, one of the most ignored and one of the most powerful. Because everything vibrates, everything emits a frequency, your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your silences. And what the universe captures is not what you say you want. It is what you vibrate when no one is watching. Cynthia was not just writing a sentence on paper, she was creating an emotional atmosphere. She felt gratitude before money existed. She felt abundance before she had proof. And this constant, repeated, sustained feeling was what raised her frequency to the point of alignment with what she desired. Frequency is like an energetic password, and the universe is precise. It never misses the address. It delivers everything based on this password. If you vibrate scarcity, even though you want prosperity, what you receive is more scarcity. If you vibrate fear, even though you seek love, what you attract is more distance. Because the universe responds to real energy, not superficial intention. And understanding this is one of the greatest revelations on the journey of those who decide to co-create consciously. And then we come to correspondence law, which closes this triangle with an almost disconcerting precision. What is within manifests without, simple, direct, and powerful. The external is a reflection. The life you live today was not thrown at you. It was emitted by you, even if unconsciously. Your most repeated thoughts, your most intense emotions, your most deeply rooted beliefs. All of this formed the vibrational field that attracted what is now around you. This is not punishment, it is a code, a mechanism of creation that responds to what you and not to what you wait. And with Cynthia, it was like that. The prize was not the focus, the number was not the secret. The true alchemy was in her alignment with the vibration of abundance. She didn't just believe it was possible, she felt worthy of it. And this is a point that almost no one talks about. Manifestation does not depend only on visualization. It depends on emotional identity that you support. Do you feel like someone capable of receiving what you want? Do you treat yourself as someone who already has it? Or do you vibrate as someone Who is still distant, waiting for permission from reality. Everything begins when the mind accepts. Everything changes when the body feels. But everything manifests when the entire being becomes compatible. And that is the level that Cynthia has reached. A level where reality had no choice but to respond. Comment here. I'm vibrating differently, and if that made something change inside. And now that you understand what was operating behind the manifestation, I want to show you the most profound twist in this whole story. The most impressive thing? It wasn't the money. It wasn't the prize. It wasn't the exact number she wrote down that materialized years later. It was the faith, the silent certainty, the unshakable conviction of someone who already lived it inside before any external confirmation. What really makes this story powerful is this almost invisible detail. I didn't expect it to happen. I knew it was going to happen. And that difference changes everything. Because when you desire something, but deep down you still doubt it, the vibration you emit is one of distance. But when you desire something, and even without proof, you already feel as if it were real, you collapse time. You anticipate reality. You create a new frequency that begins to attract people, situations, paths, and even coincidences so precise that they seem like miracles. But they are not. They are consequences. Cynthia wasn't lucky. She was an active co-creator, a woman who decided to trust what she felt more than what she saw. And that decision requires courage, because the whole world teaches you to believe what your eyes show. But the universe doesn't work with appearances. It responds to your essence, to who you are when no one is looking, to the way you vibrate day after day, even when everything seems to be the opposite. She held on tight to a reality that only existed within her. And that is not easy. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes an honesty with oneself that often hurts. Because maintaining the frequency of faith in the midst of chaos is a daily choice. She did not victimize herself. She did not give up. She did not sink into the narrative of scarcity that the world pushed on her. She wrote. She felt. She vibrated abundance in the midst of lack. She vibrated certainty in the midst of doubt. She vibrated fulfillment even when surrounded by impossibilities. And there is the secret that no one can teach with words. It's not what you want. It's who you decide to be while you want it. The universe does not give you desires, it mirrors identities. It does not respond to your plans. It responds to your most constant vibration. It doesn't matter how much you claim to want to change your life if, deep down, you still feel like someone who doesn't deserve it, who can't do it, or who can't do it. Reality will always obey what vibrates the strongest. And almost always, what vibrates the strongest is what you feel without realizing it. Cynthia had no resources, but she had the key of someone who understood, in practice, that everything you experience is compatible with your energy. And when that key turns, everything changes. What seemed impossible begins to reorganize itself. The right people appear, doors open, signs arrive. Because life recognizes when you vibrate. In alignment, it recognizes and responds. And perhaps the most powerful thing about all this is realizing that there is nothing extraordinary about it. What she did, you can do it too. What she experienced may be a reflection of what is being gestated inside you, right? Now, and if this moves you, if it resonates in your chest in some way, it is because this possibility is already knocking on your door. And it is with this awareness that we reach the most revealing moment of this journey. Because understanding the laws is one step, applying them is another. But living as who you already are is the true turning point. And now, that is what I want to talk to you about. If you've made it this far, maybe something has really touched you. And if it has, it's because you're ready to start looking at your life with more awareness, more depth, and more power. Because what we experience here is not just a story, it's a mirror. A reminder of everything that already exists within, you waiting for space to blossom. If this message made sense to you, leave it in the comments. I'm with you until the end, just so I know we've met at this point in our journey. Each comment here is not just a response, it's a link that strengthens this chain of people who are awakening together. And if you found value in this content, if this video opened something up to you, leave a like. This helps this type of message reach more people who, like you, are seeking to understand the invisible codes behind their own reality. And of course, if you want to continue receiving content like this, subscribe to the channel. With each video, we go deeper, discover more signs, reveal more layers of what the world calls coincidence, but which you already know is not. There is a video here that complements this subject in a way that will further expand on what we started today. Click and continue with me there. Because once you start seeing if there is no way to close your eyes again,